Yeah, let's go on to the next page. All right, so now, explicit direct instruction, or any instructional model you're going to use, is going to have two things. Well-designed lesson, that's what's written on the page. And the second half is well-taught. That's what you say while presenting it. So well-designed, you have a structure to work from, and then well-taught is what you're going to do as you interact with the students and how you talk to your children, what you ask them to do, any questions you ask for them, and all of them. So I'm just going to show you a couple things. These are the lesson components. If you look through lessons you've got or the EduSeri lessons we've got, you'll see things like a learning objective. That's a sentence telling you what you're going to learn. Activating prior knowledge, this is educational theory. You connect to something, let the students do a little warm up to get themselves ready for the new content, using something you already know related to the new lesson. Concept development, remember we said earlier, we need what? Written definitions of everything we're teaching. If we're teaching characters, a character is, a setting is, ratios and proportions are in math, fraction is. So in concept development is where we teach those definitions of the new stuff we're teaching. Now the skill development and guided practice, and Joel, I'm going to ask you to write this down and take a note as a parent. This means you as the teacher or the parent always work a problem first. That's called skill development. You're showing the students how to do it. Then the students do one where you guide them and do one on their own. And Joel, let's do a little gesture. Are we ready? Who does show me the first problem? Who solves the first problem? The parents. Who solves the second problem? The students. So you actually should have paired problems. You do one, they do one, you do one, they do one. If the worksheet does not match problems, then you need to come up with a second problem. You can't model one with no regrouping or no carrying and borrowing, and then they have to do one with carrying and borrowing. No, you need to model the exact process, and then they solve a similar problem.
Okay. And once again, we're going to go over that lesson delivery. You're going to kind of show us some ideas that as we're doing the problem for them, we're talking out loud. We're giving reasons why we're doing it. We're saying the words. This is the numerator. This is the denominator.
Okay, and the last couple of things. Why relevance is why are we learning this, and closure is a final problem to make sure the students learned. You can give them a problem to work on, make sure they know how to do it. So this is educational theory. Don't have the students work by themselves till they've already showed you they can solve that type of problem. They completely understand it. If they can't work the problems, don't give the homework or the independent practice. They need to work more with you, and you start walking them through more and more problems. All right, Joel, I think we should talk about the student engagement. You ready for that?
But we can just call it engagement norms. That's okay too. Because why? We have our beautiful standards. We have our goals that we're teaching with. But at the end of the day, we have to have effective instruction with our guys, with our kiddos. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're ready for it, John.
Okay, these are all academic things to help students learn. We actually called it student engagement because we were really working to get students more engaged with the learning and more active and more aware and more attentive and everything. So we call it engagement. And really the secret of engagement is right here. Student engagement is created when the teacher asks the students to do something. So we said, explain your answer, write your answer in the worksheet, read this along with me. Can you read that part to me? So when the students do that, they become engaged. So you need to do a lot of these. You should be doing one of these every 1 to 2 minutes. You really shouldn't be talking more than about 2 minutes without having your child do something and not just sitting there listening, but they're actually doing something. So pronounce with me. You'll see all kinds of stuff on worksheets that students can't pronounce. So pick a strategic word. I'm just seeing this word right here. Now, point to the word, you pronounce it first, and then have the students pronounce it. It's that simple, okay? Now, the reason we're pointing to the word is we want the students to be able to read the new words in the lesson also, not just hear the pronunciation and be able to say it, but they can actually read it. So I might pick a word right here. Students, everybody's eyes right here, and you're pointing with your finger or on the screen or something. This word, listen carefully, engagement. Can you say engagement with me? Engagement. Joel, you're my student. Can you say engagement twice?
Engagement.
Let's do it one more time. Engagement.
Engagement.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Well, engagement. My turn. Your turn.
Engagement.
Yeah. Very good. This might work for the older students, especially middle school and high school, where you've got a great big word. This is just one way to do pronunciations. Backwards syllabication. So when you take a long word, the students tend to say it, and then they dribble off at the end. They can't remember the whole word. If you do it backwards, you've said the back part so many times, by the time you get to the front, it's very easy to say. So Joel, here's our big new word right here, and I'm going to say these parts and you're going to say them after me. We're starting from the back part of the word right here. So listen carefully. I'll say it and then you, Joel. Nucleic. Your turn?
Nucleic.
Nucleic. Okay. Ribonucleic. Your turn?
Ribonucleic.
Okay, we have one more. Oxyribonucleic. Your turn? Oxyribonucleic.
Ribonucleic.
All right, now we're adding D in front of it. Listen to me first. Deoxyribonucleic. Your turn, go. Deoxyribonucleic. All right, let's say read the whole word. One more time. Ready? Read with me. Yeah. Okay. I'll say it one more time. Deoxyribonucleic. Your turn. Deoxyribonucleic. Right. And now we can read this great word, big word, deoxyribonucleic. I can almost read it as a sight word. Deoxyribonucleic. So that's a trick if you want something to do very long words or difficult words for students, is to do it from there. We said nucleic so many times. By the time we got the end, deoxyribonucleic, we certainly knew the ending. Now, I'm just going to do the next two, and then we're going to go look at a lesson. Okay, Joel, you can read this with me, both sentences. Ready, go. Track with me, read with me. Read with me, go ahead.
Yes.
Track with me, read with me. Okay, parents, this is what you're going to do. When you have text, you're going to read first and have your student read after you. Now, you can make judgments on whether you're K or 12 or wherever you are in the continuum. If you're a very beginning readers, you might go like this. Joel, look carefully with your fingers and watch while I read. Track with me. Joel, let's read together. Track with me. I'm always pointing. One more time. Track with me. So this is how you do it for a K or first grade. Even if they can't even read and you're just beginning to read, we can do that. Now, the other one is you pre-read the whole thing and they just read it after you. Okay, listen, Joel, carefully. Watch up here with your eyes. Track with me, read with me. Joel, read.
Track with
me, read with me. Now, for high school, we don't need to pre-read every single word, but there might be a difficult word, and I'll just pre-read one word. This word is correspondence. Let's all say it. Correspondence. Now let's read the sentence. Ready, read. Letter sound correspondence. Now you need to make sure your students can read the words that are in your lesson. All right, Joel, I think we're ready to look at a lesson. Mm-hmm. This is our lesson data bank, and Joel, you can give the information how the parents can access this if they want to use it. Yep. And there's 1,559 lessons, and I'm going to type in order of operations. Let's see if we've got it right here. Use the order of operation. All right, so the lesson came up here. I can go teach full screen. Here's a handout for the student to download. Teach full screen. Now I've got the little forward and backwards like PowerPoint little button, so I'm just hitting that. Remember I said there's a learning objective. This is our learning objective. So I'm going to use our first one, and I look at this. If I'm a parent, this is a word the students may not, a big word they may not be able to read, so I'm going to use that pronunciation on this one. Joel, let's look up here. This word expressions. It has an S. Expressions. Mm-hmm. At the end. Let's say that word together. Expressions. One more time. Can you read expressions for me?
Expressions.
Okay, very good. And now I'm going to read the whole thing. We will simplify expressions using order of operations. Joel, can you read this for me?
We will simplify expressions using order of operations.
Some readers can read that whole thing. If they can't, then you chunk it. Joel, listen carefully. I'll read part of it. We will simplify, your turn.
We will simplify
expressions using order of operations. Your turn.
Using order of operations.
Now let's read the whole thing together. Ready, read. We will simplify expressions using order of operations. So parents, this is how you do it. You're doing reading. You're improving your students' reading fluency in every lesson, whether you need to pre-pronounce one word or two words or pre-read the whole thing or just have them read it. It's your choice on the reading ability and the difficulty of the individual sentence you've got. Anyway, so this is the one we're doing today. Now, we have a little warm up. This is activate prior knowledge. This is something students should know already. So we've got some definitions over here, and we're going to use our reading. Joel, look up here. I'll pretend you're my student. Expressions are numbers connected by operations. Can you read that with me? Expressions are numbers connected by operations. Now, these are the operations we've got. I'm going to say it, and you can say it after me. Addition.
Plus symbol.
No, addition. The word is addition.
Addition.
Subtraction.
Minus.
Okay, but our new word today is, the operation technically is subtraction. Can you say subtraction?
Subtraction.
Right. This is dot is for multiplication. In algebra, as you get older, we don't use the x anymore because we use x as a variable. We start using x as a letter, we would mix it up with x for multiplication. So the dot means multiplication. Division.
Division.
Now this little 2 is up in space, so that is an exponent. So these are called exponents. Can you say exponents?
Exponents.
Right. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and exponents. To simplify expressions, do operations until no more operations are left. Joel, let's read together. Ready, go? To simplify expressions, do operations until no more operations are left. Now, here we have some expressions. Expressions are what? Numbers connected by operations. So here's 2 and 1 connected by what? Subtraction. Division, addition, exponents, multiply. So these are expressions. Now we have, these are simplified over here. We do not have any addition, subtraction, multiplication anymore. We just have a single number. That's simplified. We have our directions up here. Now parents, this is what you do. We say, have this kids, your child read everything. I want them to read these new words. Oh. So let's see if we can do this. Joel, can we read the directions together? Go. Match each expression by simplifying. So we're going to do the operation in here. I'm going to do the first one. This is the expression 2 minus 1. Joel, let's read it. Ready, go? 2 minus 1. Okay, so now I know 2 minus 1 is 1. Well, that's easy right there, is 1. But now we want to say this in a complete sentence showing that we understand the math concept. So listen to this. The expression 2 minus 1 simplifies to 1. Can we read that, Joel? Can we say it together? The expression, say with me.
The expression
2 minus 1 simplifies
1
into 1. Yeah, very good.
Simplifies into 1.
Simplifies to 1. All right, now I want you to look at the next one on your own, and I want you to write down the answer on a piece of paper or point to it. And I want you to give me the whole sentence. The expression blank, blank, blank simplifies to. Are you ready? Okay, now can you read it to me? The expression?
The expression 9 divided by 3 simplifies to 3?
Right, so 9 divided by 3 is 3. All right, I'm going to stop right there, but we then could do the rest of these. This, you're going to have to cue your student, make sure that's 3 times 3, not 2 times 3.
The point that you're making, I'm really feeling the point you're making is, you know what, guys, this isn't 2 minus 1. This is an expression that we're simplifying. And what we're doing the new academic word because we're front loading for what? We're getting ready for algebra. We're getting ready for that higher math. And this is the step that we have to take. So
that's right.
Yeah, so we're in the middle of, we're kind of a middle of a season of learning, aren't we? This isn't like, oh man, my kids are going to freak out. No. We've been building this. So parents at home, don't freak out. But however, I think everyone can appreciate from John the fact that we're constantly rehearsing that new academic language. And as much as I want to do what I already know, which is not subtraction, right? I want to do minus. Oh, I minused it. Right? Is it? I plussed it. You know, I can't do that anymore. Right? I have to use a new academic language.
Now, Joel, let me tell you, as a student, you just simplified these expressions, and they were very simple to do. We're going to do expressions that are a lot more complicated. If you look on the next page, look at this long expression. Now, that's going to be much harder. But you already know how to simplify with just two numbers. But we're going to pretty soon we're going to do a very long expression like this and simplify it down to we have no more operations left. There's nothing else we can do. So Joel, I'm going to stop right there. but let me explain what we're going to do. These are our written definitions up here. Expressions are, okay, and these are our examples. So if we have multiple operations, we must do them in order. We must do parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Now, Joel, this is 20 minutes or 15 minutes right here, just explaining this page. Okay, and this is one, I just taught this. Where does this 10 minus 7, what happened to it? It became what? 3 squared. The quantity 10 minus 7 squared became 3 squared. 3 squared became 9. 4 times 9 became 36. So you have to explain all this. So we're using the order of operations. We're doing parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Let me tell you this for parents, Joel, and you know, we work with a lot of schools. Sometimes the school, they skip this and they start going to the worksheet too soon. They don't have good concept developed. This is just purely concepts. This is what order of operations, this is the order right here. You're going to do this order right here. PEMDAS is how we sometimes remember it, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But anyway, we're going to remember it somehow. And this is the order of operations we're going to have to do. Now, before we start working problems, we need a few checking for understanding. The checking for understanding are questions you ask about what you just taught to make sure your student is understanding. If the student can't answer these, you need to go back and reteach. So I'm just going to say, so if we had 2 times the quantity, 1 plus 4 squared plus 3, what would you do first? Right? And you just have the student write down or circle or point. The first operation you would do is, and they should, it's right here, blank is the operation that should be performed first because, okay? And the student should be able to say, B is because what? It's in parentheses right here. And parentheses is always the first thing we do. Okay. So Joe, let's see if we can remember this. And parents, try to find this in your book. Don't just do worksheets. We actually do what? Have some concept development with some checking for understanding. Make sure the kids are following you.
John, now I have 2 handouts and a one-page teach sheet. Would you mind if I bring those up and you give us some ideas on how we would go about teaching these worksheets? Would that be okay?